Today is Holy Tuesday. Our reading is from John chapter 19, verses 26 to 27. Our stage of grief, or our touch point of grief, is pain and guilt. We Christians are often guilty of sanitizing the story of our Christ. Because of our strong beliefs in his divinity, we often forget his humanity. The unfortunate result is that we risk making him an unrelatable being who stands apart from us, a being who feels things differently, thinks things through differently, and behaves differently. The truth of our faith, though, is that God chose to become one of us, to become one with us. That means that the incarnate God lived fully as a human being with all the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of a human being. This includes the relationships of a human being with all the connection, the joy, and the heartache entailed. Jesus' mom, Mary, is another one of those human beings whom we tend to put on a pedestal and rob of her humanity. We thus do the same disservice to her and her memory that we do to Jesus. In truth, though, both were fully human beings, and they had a deep, deep connection. Mary was prophesying about and praying for her firstborn while he was still in the womb. She raised him in the fullness of her love. Once he began his public ministry, she helped him to perform his first miracle of turning water into wine. And those intervening years between his preteen time of getting lost at the temple and his early 30s of public ministry, I am convinced that they had a beautiful mom and son relationship. Hey, I am definitely a mama's boy. I fully understand the power of that bond. There is nothing quite like it in all the world. We only get glimpses of Mary after the story of the Nativity, but those glimpses mean that she never disappeared. She was always part of the story, part of Jesus' life. We hear of her at the wedding in Cana. We hear of her going to listen to Jesus' teaching with her other children when he broadens the definition of his family to include everyone gathered there. Even when he did that, I know he was not disowning his mom or excluding her. He saw her and understood that her love for him was the same love that he had for all people. And then we glimpse her there by his side at the cross. I can't even begin to imagine the immensity of her grief as she watched her beloved child being mocked, beaten, and executed. I imagine only mothers of people on death row know the same grief at the cruel violence we inflict on fellow human beings. But there she stood, gazing up at her son as he suffered. Today's grief touchpoint is that of pain and guilt. As any mother would, I am sure that she felt some misplaced guilt at not having stopped this all from happening, no matter how impossible it would have been to do so. And Jesus looked down and saw his solid rock, his foundation gazing upon him with those grieving eyes. In that moment, he himself felt immense pain at the truth that he might not see her again, and immense guilt at the fact that he was leaving his mother alone in her sorrow. He could not replace himself, but he could offer her company and love that might at least give her some comfort. As John tells it, when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his own home. Gunai ide ho huias su. Woman, behold your son. Ide he meter su. Behold your mother. Amen. For today's spiritual practice, I encourage you to get on your phone and call somebody you love to tell them that you love them. If you want to make it extra special, call someone whom you haven't expressed that to for quite some time. As you do so, reflect on the love that Jesus and Mary had for each other. As you meditate today, sing this line from Taizé. Magnificat, Magnificat, Magnificat animo meo Dominem, Magnificat, Magnificat, Magnificat animo meo Dominum.